I'm Maggie Vespa. With less than a week until Christmas, we know a lot of you have questions about the Omicron variant and whether it will or should impact your holiday and your holiday travel plans. Well, turns out experts have questions too, but they do note we're far from where we were this time last year. KGW's Galen Etland starts us off from PDX.
AAA estimates more than 109 million Americans will travel for this Christmas and New Year. That's a 34% increase over this time last year, twice as much as this Thanksgiving. And even with the Omicron variant surging, people here at PDX are not that concerned.
Ascending into PDX Departures Sunday, you can feel the energy.
I'm really excited because we haven't seen our cousins in a bit.
Opal Browning, her sister Leela, and mom Diana are heading to Utah to visit family this holiday.
We spent a year and a half away from my dad, who had cancer.
COVID kept them apart, but now
We just got our boosters, and these kiddos were lucky enough to get their vaccinations.
travel feels safer to this nurse, and others here agree.
You just realize all the time that's been lost.
Back to normal life.
Yes,
actually.
exactly.
Yeah.
Precautions are front and center.
Masks, keeping distance, vaccinations.
But as the contagious Omicron variant appears in nearly every state, experts are worried about a new spike from the holidays.
The extraordinary capability of spreading.
It's going to find those amongst our community who are still vulnerable, about 40% that are not fully vaccinated.
Early research does not prove yet if the variant makes people sicker, but since it appears to spread more quickly, vulnerable populations and people with other conditions are at risk.
The hospitals are already strained compared to last year.
We have so many people in this country who are eligible to be vaccinated who have not yet been vaccinated.
But Dr. Anthony Fauci says those who are, and especially those who are boosted, should feel safe to travel this season. And for these groups at PDX, reuniting with family.
First time, being together since COVID.
Vaccines and advances in COVID prevention make a world of difference over last year.
Taking the right precautions and still being able to have that time with family and friends is important.
We have to live our lives, but carefully.
Now, because of rising case numbers, the Biden administration has extended its federal mask mandate to mid-March, and that applies to people traveling by bus, plane, train, and any other public transportation. Galen Etland, KGW News.
Shifting gears, Portland's record-setting surge in gun violence continues, and tonight police have made an arrest in the city's latest homicide. Officers got the call around 2 a.m. from Southeast Herald and Foster, and when they arrived, they found the victim dead outside a bar. Hours later, they arrested 26-year-old Borishan Washington. He's charged with first-degree manslaughter, second-degree assault, and unlawful use of a weapon. Police aren't releasing many other details at this time, but they say anyone with information is asked to contact Portland police. New data from the state of Washington shows 2021 could be one of the deadliest years on record for DUI-related crashes, with drugs and alcohol playing a role in more than half of fatal wrecks. And last night, we saw the latest example. Around 9:45, officers were called to I-5 near 78th Street for a crash involving 3 vehicles. They say a car was disabled on the exit, blocking the road, and 2 Good Samaritans had pulled over to help. 3 people total, including the driver of that broken down car, Ying Ting, were standing outside. Suddenly, authorities say a 4th car came barreling into the scene, and police say the driver pushed one of the cars into the crowd, throwing all 3 people forward. Ting was pronounced dead. The others were taken to the hospital. Police right now are not naming the driver at fault, but they believe that person was under the influence. Well, tonight we're digging deeper into a record number of deaths among those living on Portland streets. A new report shows in 2020, 126 people died homeless in Multnomah County. And advocates say that heartbreaking record underscores what they see on a daily basis, and that's people fighting to survive. Here's Alma McCarty.
The latest Domicile Unknown report shows not only the 126 deaths among the homeless in 2020, but the locations, the demographics, the causes of them. The leading causes were drug and alcohol use, specifically opioids and methamphetamine. The average age of people who died was 46. More than half of the deaths ruled accidental. The report also shares some of the stories of the deceased, highlighting their struggles often with addiction or mental health.
These deaths are tragic. They seem senseless to us. They're heartbreaking because, these are people that we get to know.
Scott Kerman runs the Blanchet House in Portland's Old Town. The nonprofit provides meals, hot coffee, clothing, and supplies to people experiencing homelessness.
It's not necessarily just to improve circumstances, but really to help people survive from day to day. It's really become that dire for many of the people that we're serving.
To him, the latest report indicates the severity of the crisis in 2020 and now.
There's no question it's a life and death matter for many people who are houseless. What I'm mindful of is that these are 2020 figures. And by all accounts, things on the street with regards to meth and also fentanyl are much worse than they were in 2020. And so, we have to remind ourselves as we're ending 2021, we're talking about 2020 numbers. So what's the conversation going to be a year from now?
Trauma, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Kerman believes all of this has worsened for many since the beginning of the pandemic. He agrees that the detailed findings in the Domicile Unknown report serve as a force for change, an urgent push to address the housing problem.
If we don't do a better job at addressing the root causes, then we're going to be endlessly treading water when it comes to solving the situation for people who are housing insecure.
In Portland, Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Turning now to weather, that winter storm that rolled in overnight is causing issues all over the Portland metro area. Our crew, case in point, shot this video in Tigard today. This was at the intersection of Southwest Shoals Ferry Road and Nimbus. Heavy rain caused water to rise in Fano Creek in Greenway Park, and that creek eventually spilled over, flooding its banks. And we've also gotten reports of sewage leaking into the Willamette River. Officials say the big pipe sewer system reached capacity early this morning, and sewage flowed into the river for about 4 hours. They're asking people to avoid going into the water for the next 2 days. And you can see right now the track levels are slowly decreasing from their peak. It's now at 66% full, but with more rain expected overnight, those numbers could go up again. Well, students at Portland State University are helping breathe new life into the city's downtown core. It started with a program pushing them to shop at local businesses. Now, some are working there. Here's Tim Gordon.
We first told you about the city and PSU partnership back as students moved into PSU in September. It gave 600 students $50 each to spend at local downtown businesses to help them revitalize. But another part of the program got 30 students matched with 30 small businesses for 3 months of part-time work at no cost to the businesses. This week, we saw that second part of the program in action at a downtown shop called Paxton Gate. Mayor Ted Wheeler says the Here for Portland Downtown program is federal pandemic recovery money well spent.
We feel that this is a good combination of resources going towards two withering needs, supporting our local businesses and supporting our young students here in the community who are trying to do the right thing and better themselves through education.
Paxton Gate specializes in unique items inspired by the garden and natural sciences. PSU freshman Hunter Burr got the work opportunity here, and with an interest in biochemistry, she's glad she did.
Finding something that would be valid to what I'm wanting to do later on, but also just give me a little bit of cash means to support what I'm doing while I'm in school was pretty important to me.
And Hunter says being a part of downtown was important, too, as it is for other PSU students.
They really care about those sort of interpersonal connections that you form in the city. And I think taking opportunities like this is a way to assist your community while also giving yourself some valuable life skills, career skills.
Both programs are administered by Work Systems, Portland's workforce development organization. Project manager Mancine Boyd says it is a win-win-win for students, individual businesses,
and actually downtown gets revitalized and jobs come back just in time for the holiday season.
And that's just what downtown Portland needs, coming out of 2 dismal years. Tim Gordon, KGW News.